Radio host Mike Graham savaged Remainer Lord Adonis, after the Labour peer suggested that the UK should contribute towards the huge EU bailout fund following the coronavirus crisis. Mike Graham reminded Lord Adonis that Britain had already left the EU and was not liable for huge payouts to Brussels anymore. The talk radio broadcaster took the prominent Remainer to task on air after the Labour peer claimed it was Britain's duty to help its former EU counterparts. Graham blasted this, telling Lord Adonis that even Remainers could see the EU was falling apart at the seams and the UK had no obligation to fund a huge Brussels bailout. This comes amid fears Britain would be forced to subsidise EU response to coronavirus if it agreed to Brexit extension. Number 10 has been facing growing pressure to seek an extension to the current transition period, which is due to end on 31 December. The rejection of an extension stems from a concern that the EU will demand a source close to the negotiations said that paying into an EU budget was clearly not in the national interest, telling The Telegraph, "We need to spend money on our own needs in our own way." Speaking on talk radio, Graham pointed out that the EU behaved disgracefully when it came to not helping Italy. Lord Adonis responded, "Well, we are still in the early stages of this." This prompted Graham to fire back, "Italy is not. Italy was begging the EU for help and didn't get any." Lord Adonis turned the debate on the UK, saying the EU will soon come asking the UK for funds as well, and he suggested that Boris Johnson should pay up. He said, "That is a debate that also affects us in due course, whether we feel we have any duty to help with the reconstruction of the countries worst affected." Graham rebutted, "I don't think we do we? Because we are not in the EU." Lord Adonis said, "But whether we have an interest in economic rejuvenation in Europe is a big question for us going forward. Are we just an island? Will we pull up the drawbridge?" Graham pointed out there is a big difference between foreign aid, when you help countries out of a moral duty, as opposed to being forced to help them because you are part of this club where they to you for money all the time. Lord Adonis told Talk Radio that there is nothing in the EU that forces you to help reconstruct another member state, prompting the radio host to intervene. Then what is the point of it? Graham then ridiculed the Remainer after Lord Adonis claimed the point of the EU was to maintain open, free trade. The talk radio host said, "So that is why they shut all the borders then? It's falling apart at the seams, you